Hey everyone, welcome to Princess of Gay. I'm your host Connie, and today we are here with a first impressions reaction to Lucifer, episode 1. But this is not just a first impressions, it is also a donation reward for Sweet Venom. Yeah, Sweet Venom is having me do a first impressions, and I think this is the first time anyone's ever had me do a first impressions as a reward. Maybe I did it once before, but if I did, it was only once, and I don't remember what it was. But a first impressions as a donation reward is actually a fine idea. If you guys want to do that, please feel free. Because in case you maybe want me to check out a series but aren't sure what I'm going to think about it, this is a good way to do it. And if I like it, I will still continue it. It's a completely fair thing to do. It's just, I guess most people just haven't thought of it, or like with a lot of series, maybe just they want to suggest the whole series anyway. I mean, it's up to you how you want to do it. If you want to choose the entire series just in general as your reward, or if you do want to have it as a first impressions, it's up to you. But either way, so what do I know about this series? Well, it's called Lucifer, so the main character I know is Lucifer, the devil. I don't know how this lore handles it, because different lore handles is Lucifer also Satan, or are they two separate beings? Different lore handles that differently. I believe in the Has Been Hotel universe, for example, I think that they're different beings, which is interesting. It just depends on the lore. In original Christian lore and everything, Satan's just another name for Lucifer. It's the same person. The devil, Lucifer, Satan, same person. A fallen angel who now leads the demons, basically. And all of that. But yeah. Yeah, so I also know that people find the actor who plays Lucifer in this extremely hot, and I've seen what he looks like, and he's he's okay. Maybe it'll be different, with seeing him in motion and seeing the actor actually perform, because I haven't seen that. I've only seen still shots and all, and it's not entirely my type. But again, maybe that'll change with motion. I don't know what the actual plot of this series is. Okay, so the main character is the devil. What does he do? What is it going to be about? Because we had Lucifer in Supernatural and various other biblical characters like that. And it's okay, they all had a role to play, and but they weren't the main character. Their roles were connected to Sam and Dean and all. So it's with him being the main character, are we, what are we going to see? Him making deals with people? Or are we going to see him fighting against the forces of heaven? What's the actual plot to this? I have no clue. I've heard nothing about that. But I believe this series was originally canceled, but then it was picked up by Netflix, I believe. But then I also think it was canceled again after that. I don't know the exacts on that, but I've heard a lot of people like this, but there's a lot of shows that, while a lot of people I don't. I don't know. I have no clue what I'm going to think of this. And I think that was the same idea as Venom. I think Sweet Venom, did not know what to expect from my reaction here, and thought, okay, let's try a first impressions, see what Connie thinks of it, and if she likes it, then we can go from there. And that's completely fair. Because it's always hard to tell with me, and especially when it comes to biblical related stuff. Because I'm not a stickler for that. There's a lot of people who are a lot more particular about stuff related to biblical characters and whatnot. Although I am a Christian, I don't care as much. Like, there are people who will say, like, stuff like, God, what is it called? Good Omens, with David Tennant and all. They would say that is blasphemous and evil and terrible. And it's like, it's just a funny series with good actors and ridiculous humor. You're taking things too seriously. It's fiction. Even if you believe like the biblical stories and everything and all of that is fact, it's like, this is a TV show. It's fiction. No one thinks this is fact. It's not trying to paint itself as fact. It doesn't hurt anyone, Christian or not, for this series to exist or for it to be funny and whatnot. You're just being weird. I'm not like that. I don't particularly care that much. If you want to make a series that has characters like this, I'm fine with that. Characters based on the biblical characters as well, the biblical people, that's fine. I have no issue with that at all. So I'm not going to be like really picky about that. It's just sometimes it's hard for me to get into shows like this. So it's just hard to say whether or not I'm going to like it. Plus, although I am a Christian, I do also have a lot of trauma and pain from Christianity as well. It may sound almost contradictory, like, oh, if you have trauma and pain from Christianity and churches and stuff, why are you still a Christian? It's like, because I still believe. It's really that simple. It's just like, I believe. It's faith, and you could say it's blind faith, and it's like, yeah, it is. Like, that is what it is. But at the same time, it's like, it's still what I believe, and it's like, I'm not going to be an asshole. I'm not going to be one of those types of Christians. Most Christians. I'm nice. I try to be a good person about it. I'm not going to force my beliefs on anyone. And I'm definitely not one of those bigoted pieces of shits. But still. I do have trauma and pain from past churches and Christianity as a whole, and yeah, I can't deny that, and because of that, it makes a lot of things, even just hearing about it in the news or seeing media with it, it makes it hard for me sometimes. And so I don't know. And mind you, I almost never know what I'm going to think of a series. It's very rare for me to enter into a series knowing what I'm going to think. Like, Ghost and Miley McGee, I think, is one of the only shows that I can really think of that I went into knowing I was going to like it. Because let's be honest, I knew I was going to like that going in. Like, I could tell from, like, the little bit I knew about it ahead of time that it was going to be one of those good modern cartoons that I tend to enjoy. Even if it wasn't going to be like as good as other stuff, I was still going to enjoy it. And the same could be said for like Carol and Tuesday. It's like the instant I saw the like trailer for that, I knew I was going to like it. I didn't know I was going to like it as much as I did. I mean, that surprised me that it was that good for me. But I knew I was going to like it. Sometimes you can just tell, but other times you have no fucking clue. I thought I would hate Miss Kobayashi's Dragon Maid or Uzaki-chan Wants to Hang Out. I ended up loving both of them. So it's like, you never know. So who knows? This one could end up being something I enjoy, something I am just kind of meh on, or something I don't like. But that's what it's here for. That's why it's a first impressions. So yeah, I'm very much willing to give it a chance to see what it's like. And again, maybe the actor is hotter in motion. I mean, you guys know I can simp pretty hard. So, I mean, Ewan McGregor, he gets me pretty hot and horny. He like Ewan McGregor for me is like what a lot of the Lucifer fans feel about this actor. I don't know his name, by the way. But that's Ewan McGregor for me. It's like I am very attracted to him. And you guys know this. I've talked about this before, but yeah. Because we've reacted to a couple things with Ewan McGregor on this channel. I believe we reacted to Birds of Prey. We definitely reacted to Doctor Sleep. We reacted to the Obi-Wan series. So it's like, yeah, I've mentioned it before. I've mentioned my attraction to him. But yeah, either way, we should probably get into this and see what it's like. Like I said, I don't really know what to expect, but I'm hoping to enjoy it. So we'll see. Let's get this going. When the screen fades to black, pause this redirect and go to the description below. Follow the link to the reaction, and after you watch it, come back here to the redirect and resume play. Because after it fades to black and fades back in, everything from that point forward will be my afterthoughts and will contain spoilers to the episode. So, that being said, thank you so much for tuning in, and I will see you at the reaction. And we are back, and we'll begin with spoilers in 3, 2, 1, now. And I just looked it up, and yeah, not only was he created by Neil Gaiman, but specifically, this iteration of Lucifer was created for The Sandman. You know, the Netflix series The Sandman, it obviously based on the comics that Neil Gaiman created. Lucifer started there. And he eventually got his own spin-off series. And so this is DC Comics. And everything. It's like, wow, okay. This is the same existing universe as Batman. And it makes sense. Sandman, I think, is connected to a lot of that stuff. Like, I still only have seen the first episode of that. I do need to see more at some point. But yeah, it's like I didn't know that at all. But I can see Neil Gaiman's touch in this. I can see it now that I know. So yeah, I can believe that. So let's talk about this. So I went into this, as you know, almost completely blind. I just knew the general idea of it. So I'm saying so a lot. We have Lucifer, Morningstar, the devil, Satan, whatever you want to call him. He is exactly that. He's the devil. But he has chosen to abandon hell, abandon his post, abandon his job, whatever you want to call it, and live a hedonistic lifestyle on earth, just enjoying the pleasures of vices like sex, drugs, alcohol, general debauchery. He's living a lifestyle that is pretty much the epitome of toxic hedonism. And I say that because hedonism in and of itself is not a bad thing. Hedonism is just the desire to live for pleasure and no pain, or as little pain as possible. In and of itself, hedonism is not a bad thing. It's how far you take it. And some people will argue that hedonism is the extreme, that by definition it is the extreme. And it's like, I don't believe that. I believe hedonism is just the idea of living for pleasure, living in a way for enjoying all life has to offer, enjoying all these vices and stuff, but in a way that's not necessarily dangerous and toxic. There can be toxic hedonism, and a lot of it has been toxic. But I mean, you could say I I live a hedonistic lifestyle. I choose not to get a regular job because of how it would affect my mental health. I do pretty much everything that I do, from YouTube and the stuff I watch and everything, the events I go to and everything, from a perspective of, will this bring me pleasure? Will this be bringing me happiness? I engage in vices. While I don't personally have sex, or haven't yet, I'd be willing to, but I very much look at porn and everything. I drink. I don't really do drugs, though I have smoked weed. That's about it. I've never done anything more extreme than that. But I do engage in stuff like that. And I try to avoid as much pain as entirely possible. You could say that is hedonistic. But it's not toxic. I'm not doing anything to hurt anyone or even myself necessarily. I'm not going too far with it. But obviously, being the devil, Lucifer is, because he's the devil. He is living a hedonistic lifestyle to such a degree that it is a problem. He frivolously disobeys the law at his will and just basically mind controls people to let him go. He influences people into having sex with him at will. And it's very heavily implied that he fucks a lot. Like, one, he's conventionally attractive. And two, he legitimately has this thing about him where people are just like, can really like just fall under his spell in a way really easily. Like, he kind of implies that he didn't, like with this therapist, that he didn't do anything to her. He kind of implies that it's just a natural reaction to him. That, like, she was just so naturally attracted to him because he has that natural effect. It's like a passive. It's like a passive effect in a video game. It's not something he activates, but something that just can happen. And, like, because my God, she was fucking horny for him. And it's like, that was, like, probably the horniest scene in this. And there were a couple horny scenes, but that was wild. Like, you could see her, like really having trouble there. You know she was wet. I'm just saying. Like, it was the intention to clearly make it. And the actress, I guess, in a way, did a good job at portraying that. But it was very clearly meant to, that's what it was supposed to be. She was that fucking horny for him. And it was just like this natural passive effect, which is interesting. And I wonder if this series would ever show like that happening with a guy or anything. I unfortunately doubt this series, because most don't. But I unfortunately doubt this series will go into like non-binary people. But it might showcase homosexuality. And maybe it will show a guy who is interested in him to that degree. I would be completely fine with that. But yeah, it's clear that that's kind of where this is, what this is about. Lucifer is taking part in all these vices, but then he meets this policewoman who can't fall under his spell. She's complex and strong-willed enough to resist him. But it's also super fucking clear that they're gonna fuck. Like, it's not even, like, they're not even hiding it. She's a divorced single mother who has a who has a past with like showing herself naked on film, she's very clearly starting to like him by the end. Like, even before the end comes along, it's like super fucking clear. It's like, oh yeah, I've seen this kind of thing before. I've seen these kind of shows. When it's like, oh yeah, you have this strong female character who's not putting up with the guy's bullshit. It's like they always end up getting together and boning. It's just how it works. And with this kind of series, it's like, of course it's gonna fucking work like that. It seems like it's that kind of show. It doesn't seem like it's going to subvert expectations much in that regard. Um, and I don't know how much supernatural shit we're going to get with this. Right now, it seems to mostly be focused on, oh, Lucifer's helping this detective with detective work. But he's also being told by his brother, an angel, to go back to hell because you have to maintain the balance. So there probably could be something that could come from that, in regards to a war between the angels and his forces. I mean, it kind of hinted at that here, but that doesn't necessarily mean it'll happen. And this series, let me see here. I got the page still up. It had its initial run on Fox, but the ratings remained low, with mixed reviews at first, though in later seasons it got better. But in 2018, Fox canceled it after its third season, and only a month later, Netflix picked it up, where it continued for 3 more seasons. It doesn't say it was canceled here, actually, so maybe it wasn't canceled. Maybe it just ended after season 6. Let me see if I can find anything more on that. Okay, that just mentions, like, that doesn't mention anything about that. Yeah, all it says is that it has 6 seasons. It's not saying anything specific about whether or not it was canceled again, or if that was the plan to have it. Okay, apparently though, Lucifer was in the Arrowverse crossover, Crisis on Infinite Earths. I do know about that crossover. And that was Arrow, Flash, Supergirl, Batwoman, all of that. I never really got into those shows. I tried, but I never really did. And apparently the cameo takes place 5 years before the events of this series, so it technically is before anything in this show. Okay. And Constantine has something to do with that too. Interesting. Yeah, I'm not seeing anything specific, but it seems like, yeah, the critical response for the first season was mixed, but then it got like really good critical responses for every season after. Um, so my thoughts on this first episode, at least, is that this was good. I enjoyed it. Tom Ellis has a very sassy, um, like over the top Lucifer, who's again just living that hedonistic lifestyle and having fun with it. Like, and you could tell Tom Ellis is having fun with it. He's having a blast playing this character. The actress who plays the detective, she's fine. I have no real issue with her. The other actors in this were fine as well. Yeah, it's just I feel like nothing like really stood out to me as being exceptional in this. Nothing was like really great, but there's certain things to appreciate about this for sure. Um, and it definitely is building up to more. Like there's definitely more that it wants to do, and that I feel that's very clear. Um, Obviously, I do have hangups about one of the main characters and a character you're supposed to be sympathetic and for and like being a cop. There is hangups I have over that, and that's just always going to be the case. Um, it's just it's something I can't just get over. It's not it's in a lot of like in a lot of fictional media, there will sometimes be law enforcement where it's like, oh yeah, this is clearly not meant to be a representation of real life. Or you see, like, for example, in Batman, like Jim Gordon is very much against corruption in the GCPD and actively fights against it. So it's like that I can get behind. But this is clearly like a lot of shows like this are clearly meant to portray it in a realistic world. Like everything is supposed to be connectable to our world. We're supposed to be able to connect to it and relate to it and see it as if it were just our world. So when you see characters like cops in a lot of these shows, they just come across as cops, just like any cop you would see in real life. And even if they're portrayed as a quote unquote good cop and are even shown to be against corruption, or even if they're shown to be in this case like a pariah within the rest of the department and all, there's still just, at least for me, that pushback because of just real life situations and all. Like, there's a reason that I and so many other people use the tag "all cops are bastards," ACAB, or ACAB if you want to say it that way. There's a reason, and it's not good with all the stuff that has happened, especially to people of color, to women, etc. It's something, again, I just can't get over. And it's hard for me to watch a series with a main character who's a cop, or even a movie. Again, unless it's a series or a movie where it's clearly not representative of real life, or where the character is clearly meant to be a beacon of being actively against all of that corruption and actively trying to make things better. Like, even like with stuff like Zootopia, it's like Judy actively quits the force when she's shown that they're kind of corrupt and that they're not going to listen to her and do right. And it's a little idyllic, of course, when she does end up changing the force. Of course it's idyllic in that way. It's Disney. But still, at least and of course it's Zootopia. It's an animal world. It's not meant to be exactly realistic. But it also shows that she is so actively against it that she'd be willing to quit over it. And that's good. I like that. That's fine. But I don't know right now if this character would do that. I don't necessarily think that she's someone who would harass a person based on their race or gender or whatnot. I don't necessarily think she is, but it's just, there's just that, again, just the hang up I can't get rid of. it's again, with this series being clearly painted and being such a realistic light, it's something I can't just ignore. Um, but what do I think in terms of continuing this? Well, if I look here as well, I don't even know how many episodes this is. There are 13 episodes for season 1, 18 for season 2, 26 for season 3. It just keeps growing. But then when Netflix took it over, season 4 has 10, season 5 has 16, which is split into 2 parts, and season 6 has 10. So it starts getting bigger, but then it goes back down again to less episodes per season. So what I'm thinking is that I will continue to give this a shot. I know that might sound contradictory to my just big little ramble on the entire police situation, but I think I can continue to give this a shot. I think it's a series that I would be willing to see if it actually does something like that. Because the thing is, again, this is based on a character by Neil Gaiman, and I know Neil Gaiman is progressive with shit like that. I know he understands that kind of stuff. And I would hope because of that, this kind of carries that over into this series to some degree. But again, I don't know for sure how this is going to go. She could end up being a character like Gordon, like Jim Gordon from the Batman comics, who is very much against corruption in the force and tries to do everything she can to change it and to be a beacon of actual good and actual justice. I could see that, but I could also see it maybe going to points where she does end up falling into that corruption as well. I don't know at this point. I don't know. So I'm going to have to. I'm going to give it I'm going to give it a chance for now. I'm going to say we will continue this. But I don't know for how long. I don't know how many episodes we'll go into. I don't know. I don't know. We'll see. If it might end up getting much better, it might end up like improving on pretty much everything, and I might end up really loving it. It might get to that point where it's like, oh yeah, this is actually handling this all very well, and my fears were for nothing. It's possible. I think right now the charming acting of Tom Ellis will be able to help carry through this. And I am kind of interested to see where some of this goes. We'll give it a chance, but it will definitely still be on a trial run of sorts. So I will still be waiting to see if anything really notably changes or if it gets better or worse. We'll see. But we're obviously not going to get to it right away anyway. It's going to be on the list for now, for the future, for impressions, reactions, and all. Impressions, continuations. So yeah, we'll give it we'll continue to give it a chance. We'll continue it in the future and see how it goes. But in the meantime, tell me in the comments below, what did you think of this first episode of Lucifer? And for now, I'm Connie and I'm signing off. See y'all next time.